anyhow, so I think we'll just go like this. Okay, all right, some little bit of technical thing to start. So welcome everyone. Thank you for joining us today for our information sessions for the Southeast SUNY CUNY Southeast Asia Consortium 2526 online course and field school. At the theme that we have for 2526 and going into the field schools and workshop in 2026 is climate change, sustainability, and geography. And we're joined by wonderful colleagues here, and then the founding director, Professor Meredith Weiss of Southeast Asia Consortium. So I will just turn it to Meredith so you can tell us about the consortium and the wonderful organization here that we're a part of.
Great. Thanks, Vida. So the SUNY CUNY Southeast Asia Consortium, which I saw that Mitch also, who's here, has labeled as NICEAC, which I think is great. So I think we need to shift to that language instead. The New York Southeast Asia Consortium is a virtual Southeast Asian Studies Center for all of SUNY and CUNY. None of our campuses previously had a Southeast Asia Studies Center, a physical one or a virtual one, so far as I know. And the goal is really to support the study and teaching of Southeast Asia across New York State's public universities. So we have a range of different activities. We have speakers and some events, but then we also have every year a semester-long course, as well as a program in Southeast Asia that's related to the same theme as the course. That program is led by 2 or 3 lead faculty each year. And for the coming year, as you will see, it is led by these 3 colleagues I have with me now. But the goal of the consortium is to provide resources for faculty, undergraduates, and graduate students, as well as staff across SUNY and CUNY who have an interest in engaging with Southeast Asia in whatever way, as well as in engaging neighboring communities, given the tremendous number of Southeast Asians in the surrounding area. Programs such as the course and field school you're about to hear about for next year, which this year is the course is in process and the program will be in Malaysia this summer. Those are limited to members of the SUNY and CUNY community specifically, rather than the surrounding area. But when we have webinars, or when we have we've had a photo exhibit, or when we have other events, for those sorts of events, we really hope to engage the full range of constituents in New York State who might be interested in the study, the teaching, the existence of Southeast Asia. And I will stop there.
All right, thank you so much, Meredith. And let's me continue on here. And I just want to introduce everyone to us, and we're going to share a little bit of information about each of us here. So Mitch and Peter with me here, and I'll turn to them in a few minutes. So let me just talk about my own work and how the background of this and what we're looking forward to be doing. So I'm Vida Wanchan. I am professor in geosciences department at SUNY Buffalo State University. I am also the director of Global Study Institute here at Buffalo State. I hold doctorate degrees in international economic and business geographies, and then a master's in international trade from University of Buffalo. And also a bachelor degrees in business management from Metropolitan State University of Denver. And so my research spans across different areas, economic development, sustainability, global supply chains, competitiveness and strategies, manufacturing, reshoring, trade, foreign direct investment, Southeast Asia, obviously, because I'm originally from Cambodia, and then emerging economies. So my latest research projects involve circular economy and global challenges to circular economy. The latest work, and thanks to field research grant by Southeast Asia Consortium here, I was able to explore further in terms of the manufacturing sector and then the impacts that companies across the country in Cambodia have in the forms of circular economy. And then the projects that I work with the colleagues in Europe as well. We look at the European American firms in the eco-activewear industry. And so that's bring about to, part of our themes on this climate change and sustainability. And so I'll turn this to my colleagues here. So Mitch and Peter, please tell us about you and your work.
Maybe I'll go next just because I'm next I'm in the middle in the slides. Yeah, I'm Mitch Asso. I teach history at the University at Albany SUNY. I am a specialist of Vietnam. I've spent many years in Vietnam researching and studying. I am also, by training, environmental historian, so I'm really interested in environmental history as a lens to look at Vietnamese history. My book project, or my book, is called Rubber and the Making of Vietnam, an Ecological History, and I look at basically environmental and social change in the rubber producing region in southern Vietnam during the late 19th and throughout the 20th century. So more recently, I've also been doing some projects in medical history. And so I just co-edited a volume on called Fighting for Health, which is a collection of authors looking at different parts of Southeast Asia and the role of health and public health and medicine during the Cold War. That came out just last year. And I'm currently working on a project on dioxin and the role of Vietnamese scientists and medical doctors in forward global dioxin science. So I'm looking at kind of a global Vietnam project. I'm really excited to be joining this workshop in field school, and I'll be, well, involved in throughout both Vietnam and Cambodia, and I guess we'll talk more about that involvement as we move forward in the slides. So I'll turn it over now to Peter.
Thanks, Mitch and Vita. I am Peter Marcatulio, and I'm in a empty room that seems to be echoing. Can you hear that? Yes. Sorry. Right. So I am currently the chair of the Department of Geography at Hunter College CUNY, where I'm also full professor. My background is fairly eclectic, as a geographer is. I have a PhD in urban planning, and I consider myself, therefore, an urban geographer. That's what I spent most of my life studying. I spent about 9 years in Asia, working for the United Nations University and studying cities in what we used to call the Asia Pacific region, which includes East and Southeast Asia. There we started out with globalization, and subsequently turned into, we turned towards more environmental, and then we looked at other aspects, including I was part of what's called the Millennium Ecosystem Assessment that looked at biodiversity, and more recently have been focused on climate change, both mitigation and adaptation. So my skill set and the things I'd like to teach involve sort of geocomputation, GIS, and spatial analysis. So, and I hope to bring some of that to the workshop, to the course in the fall, and hopefully in the workshop in Ho Chi Minh and Siem Reap. Okay, I'll stop there and hand it back over to Vita.
Thank you, Peter. I think Mitch get to tell us about the theme in the slides.
Sure.
So.
Okay, so I'll talk about this slide, although obviously any Vita or Peter can jump in. But yeah, the theme, it's really exciting, the theme, because we're looking at climate change, sustainability, and geography. And you can see how it draws on the expertise of the three field school workshop leaders. We're going to be looking at many different dimensions, but I think we bring complementary aspects to that. So I'm going to be really focusing on historical approaches, historical methodology, but also thinking about past environmental history here. Also, we can even raise questions about sustainability in the past. So one of the things, for example, that we're working on currently to include in both the fall course, but also as part of the workshop and field school, is a course on mobility and working particularly with professors at the Fulbright University in Vietnam. And so, for example, I would look at mobility during the colonial era, both in French Indochina, which would have been composed of people in Vietnam and Ho Chi Minh City, Saigon as it was known, and in Cambodia, in Phnom Penh, in Siem Reap. So we're that would be an approach that I would kind of lead or encourage students to take. I think Vida, as she said, she's a geographer, and so more of a kind of contemporary approach, more of a social science approach to the questions of climate change and sustainability. And then Peter, of course, would help us really lead us through some of the computer work and some of the data analysis that we can draw on. There's some really rich data sets for cities in Southeast Asia. Now, our kind of expertise is in urban or in Vietnam and Cambodia, but of course, the participants in this field school could be doing projects throughout Southeast Asia. So, rural Indonesia, for example, or Bali, or the Philippines, colonial era Philippines. So we wouldn't. I don't think we're not limited to Cambodia or Vietnam as a focus. Just I want to make sure that people understand that. Vida or Peter, do you have anything that you want to add? Obviously, I don't know your expertise as much, so you can fill in what I've missed.
No, I think you pretty much said it. So each of us brings our own expertise here, and it's super exciting as we can talk about this sustainability in multiple dimensions here as listed here. So looking at from the historical perspective, from the technical side of things, the all of these elements that we bring together. So we'll not, and thanks to you, Mitch, for mentioning that we're not restricted to just the countries that will be doing the workshop and the field school, so that it's open up to all the people doing work in Southeast Asia from multidisciplinary perspective, and that's what makes it really exciting. That we're looking at any type of projects, research, in the different areas, and that falls within the theme that we have here, and it's really exciting.
And I would say also we were talking about Peter, Vida, and I were talking about ideal students, and we were also thinking about you could be an artist working on some aspect of sustainability and propose a project for this field school, even though obviously none of us have that kind of grounding in sort of artistic production, but we would be happy to bring what we can to your project. Sorry, Peter, I might have cut you off. Okay. Should we maybe move on to next slide then?
Yep.
So this is a slide about the showing the first field school and workshop that was held in Chiang Mai in Thailand in 2024, I believe also winter of 2024, correct? January. And there were 10 students, and what I think you might, I'm not going to go through all of their projects. They were fascinating from what I've heard, but you can see that obviously they're both SUNY and CUNY related folks, which is we're looking for a good balance here, and in terms of level, we've got there were people from undergraduates, I think, maybe junior or senior undergraduates. I think Eghan, I know I've heard his name before, but I'm terrible pronouncing. Rich is in the middle and the bottom. At New Paltz is an undergraduate, I believe. to graduate students in the CUNY Graduate Center, to faculty. So I know Dr. Karen Miller is a faculty at LaGuardia Community College. So we're looking for a good balance. I think we probably would want to have more students than faculty. We're thinking in terms of giving opportunities to folks, but we really do want a range of people. And I would also add, I don't believe anyone in the 2023-2024 class fell in this situation, but we also are happy to accept staff or people who are related, but don't necessarily have an academic, what we would call as a traditional academic position in the SUNY or CUNY system. That's correct, right? Right. Yeah.
Staff, and also just should stress that for among faculty, adjunct faculty and so forth,
yes.
So long as your primary affiliation is SUNY, CUNY, and some guys, you are eligible.
Excellent. So that's all I have to say about this. Yeah, so here's some actual photos. I think very exciting. I wish I could have participated in this field school. But again, what if you're interested, obviously you can talk to the people who led this workshop in field school, and they have lots of great stories. It really was, I think, a wonderful experience for all of the participants. But one thing that really struck me was their commitment to working with students and faculty with their local partners. So it was in Chiang Mai, the Chiang Mai University, I believe. And the students were integrated throughout the process. And it was really a dialogue between the people coming from the US and the people in Chiang Mai. And I think all of us are interested, Vida, Peter, and I are interested in encouraging similarly a dialogue. So at Fulbright University, the classes will be in session. We've already been planning our classes to work together. The faculty there who is teaching a mobility studies or history of mobility class, and our students will be working together on exchanging ideas and projects. We will probably have Vietnamese students interpreting from Vietnamese to English, so to help again our participants access different things that would be very hard to access otherwise, including going to the archives or going to see energy, mobile energy, electric charging sites in Vietnam. And I know in Cambodia, in Siem Reap, Vida has very good connections with students and faculty there, and so we'll be working very closely with them as well. Again, I don't know, Vida, if you want to speak about that or add anything there.
Yeah, I was just super excited. I think there will be local organizations as well that might get involved. So we open up to local partners, because when we're talking about the climate change and environmental impact, there are some activist groups and especially uprising youth group. So that's still in the work, and so hopefully we'll get them involved, and that's why I'm super excited about it. So.
Okay, maybe next slide. I think we can move on. Yeah, so eligibility, or I covered a little bit about this already. Again, faculty, including temporary, non-tenure track, tenure track and tenured, graduate students, undergraduate students. We really do want undergraduate students. And we'll talk a little bit about this, but obviously our expectations for each sort of category of applicant are different. So, we don't expect undergraduate students to come in with fully formed dissertation projects. We do expect them to have ideas and enthusiasm and a commitment to Southeast Asian studies, but we have realistic ideas about what kind of training and preparation they will come in with. Including language preparation. Graduate students obviously will should have a clearer idea of what their projects are and sort of their long-term goals. We'll look for that. And then faculty, of course, we have in the past two workshops, and I think we'll continue this to look for faculty who may not have a primary affiliation with Southeast Asia, but have a compelling reason to do at least comparative work or to work in Southeast Asia. So we are looking for different criteria for each group, right? We will have approximately 10 participants selected in addition to the 3 of us. Yeah, those 10, depending on funding, but we'll aim for 10. I think that's the goal, right? Now, in terms of our schedule, 2025, 2026, we have a 1 credit online synchronous course that will run in the fall of 2025. And that Vida, Peter, and I will teach various courses. It will be approximately 10 meetings altogether. You can also register for this course as a 0 credit course. Now, we plan to have this probably in the evening. We're still sort of finalizing the day, but we want to open it up in terms of timing to as many students as possible. We know that many people have day jobs and take classes during the day, so we will try to open this up in the evening. The kind of technicalities I know have been worked out in previous field schools. I will do my best, but Meredith can always correct me where I'm wrong. But you can register as an independent study with one of the lead faculty. So we have both people from CUNY and from SUNY here, or you can register with someone in your home institution if you can find someone. Now, obviously, the person and the professor in the home institution would not be responsible for any of the content, would not be doing any of the work. They would just need to sign a piece of paper saying that they accept the 1 credit in your institution, right? Now, this course is not just for those who are going on the field school and or the workshop in the field school, although those people who are participating in that way have to take this course as preparation to go. But we are going to open this up also to people who are just interested in the theme of climate change, sustainability, and geography. The material will hopefully, and the readings will hopefully be interesting for a broader audience, not just those who will be specifically going. So this is a goal for this course. Now, those students and graduate students and faculty who will be participating in the Southeast Asia portion of this will take part in a 3-day workshop and a 7-day field school. And these will be held in Ho Chi Minh City. We'll start in Ho Chi Minh City in Vietnam on January 3rd. This is a fairly settled time. The idea is that people would arrive on January 3rd, I think we said, no later than January 3rd at the latest. And then start classes. We want to respect the kind of New Year's travel schedule. And then we'll be going to Siem Reap and Cambodia for another several days. We haven't kind of exactly finalized the schedule, so I don't want to speak too much about that, but that will be the direction of travel until January 13th is when the field school will end, and you can return to wherever you need to go. And again, as we've mentioned, the workshop and field school will be joined by local faculty and students. Now, I think, is this Vida? Is this me or is this you? We had some.
Yeah, I think it's still you. One more.
Okay. I'm happy to talk about this. So, as part of joining this field school and workshop, SEAC has, thanks to the generous funding of Luce, has the ability to cover the cost of airfare to and from Southeast Asia. There's also going to room and board will be covered for the duration of the workshop and field school, and there may be incidental costs that you'll have to cover, but those kinds of things will be, again, hopefully we will keep it to as minimum, as much of a minimum as possible, and we should have an idea of how much approximately kind of the small things might cost. And then travel insurance as well. And this is partly why people need to be associated with the SUNY and CUNY, because we'll have the travel insurance covered. Is there anything else that we need to talk about in terms of that?
No, it's good. And we have Meredith here. So Meredith, feel free to jump in if there's any.
Yeah, I
things
just
that
want to
you'd
add
like
one
to
thing,
add.
which is, yeah, the only thing I'll add is that if you are, let's say you're a graduate student who is hoping to join this program and then do your own research, it is fine to have the dates that you travel be span a wider range than the dates of the program. It may mean that if the airfare is then higher, and airfare can be tricky around December, January, just if it means that you're flying right around the holidays. But if the cost of that airfare is then higher, you'll have to pay the difference. If it's lower, you don't get that back, but you will be subsidizing somebody else's travel. But we do actually really encourage and want people to take advantage of the chance to be in Southeast Asia. There are cheap flights, from one country to the next if you chose to go from, Cambodia on to the Philippines, for instance, for some other project. So that is entirely possible.
Great. And then also for the room and board, that if they stay longer, then will be on you, on the students and participants to cover their own room and board costs besides the duration of the workshop and field school. All right. Okay.
And as
thanks,
people
Meredith.
know who have been, as people
Go
know
ahead.
who have been in Southeast Asia, usually it's the airfare that's the sort of the
Mhm.
biggest part of budget to get
Yep.
there. So.
All right, so thank you, and I'm just going to proceed with the process and timeline. So as previously mentioned, you could register with for independent study with as independent study for a 1 credit course for an online this fall with us, and either one of us or with your own institutions. We are going to send out a call for applications probably mid to late April. And then we'll open up for submissions from mid-May to early August for you to get your applications in. And once we receive all the applications, we'll send out the final notification by late August, the latest. So as far as the application materials, what we're looking for, and we'll talk about this in a bit about the specific requirements, but here in terms of application materials for faculty and graduate students, we need the statement of interest for the workshop and field school, and particularly part that is the core research agenda. That's 300 to 500 words. An abstract for consideration for the workshop, the resume or CV, 2 to 5 pages. And then for graduate students, a digital copy of recent transcripts from SUNY or CUNY, and then a completed application form. For undergrad, statement of interest. And again, it's just as we already gone through this information, as long as you're doing work and you have the agenda, research agenda, and information related to the theme and falls within the theme that we have this year, you're welcome to apply and articulate that information to us. Abstract for consideration for the workshop. Again, 300 to 500 words, resume or CV, transcript, and then a completed application. And so here, what are we looking for besides those materials that are needed for the applications? Is that for faculty and graduate students here, we're looking for quality and relevance of research project. So it's not the quantity, is about quality of your research project and how relevant it is to the theme that we have. And I'm just gonna put myself out there too. I think there are so many things that will fall under the theme that we have. That's why it's super exciting to really see, and we would like to invite all the applications and folks from different areas and doing work here. And we're also looking for that the quality and relevance of the research project, and then the explanation of how this field school and research in Southeast Asia can benefit your project and then your career trajectory. We're also looking for demonstrated commitment. So you can see this is part of the whole group that will be on this journey to Southeast Asia and will be participating with local schools or a lot of activities. So we are looking for them demonstrated commitment to active engagement, not just to be there just to find to see the country, get to understand the culture, but more of the active engagement throughout the online course in the fall and workshop and field school. For undergrad, we're looking for motivation. So you need to explain to us how, why do you want to go to Southeast Asia? There'll be encourage students who have heritage and speak the language or have family members are part of the know people from Southeast Asia. I would strongly encourage while we're encouraging those to apply, we're also looking for those who all have the intellectual interest. So not just, again, as I said earlier, that people just want to see the country, want to visit, learn new cultures, and part of the fun way of getting there and enjoying the time there. And we're looking for people who have serious interest in intellectually and exploring projects that are of quality and project that's helpful and in projects that fall under the theme that we have here, climate change, sustainability, and geography. So that brings me to the second point too, that's quality and relevance of the research project, which I already mentioned earlier, and Mitch and Peter, you can jump in anytime here. And then the same thing as we're looking for all of the participants, so for undergraduates or graduates, faculty, the scholars here for active engagement commitment throughout the course, the online course workshop and field school. So with that said, that brings us to the end. Here's our information. The website for the SUNY CUNY Southeast Asia Consortium. It's right here. My email address, Professor Aso's and Marcatulio's email address is here. And so you're welcome to contact us if you have any further questions. So just want to thank everybody for joining us, and we'll just open up to questions. And let's see, just bear with me here because I'm trying to see what we have. Bear with me here. So there's a Q&A section that people can put their questions in here. I'm seeing just one question here. Is there a quota in terms of how many graduate students or undergraduate students are going to be accepted?
Well, we don't have a quota. I think we prefer to have as many students as we can admit. Previous field schools, I don't know, Meredith, if you want to talk about the kind of balance that's been so far.
We've had, so the previous two, so last year's and then the one that's coming up this summer, faculty attended only the workshop and not the field school. So that's one shift for this year. So that might shift the balance more towards students than faculty, but we do hope to have both. But we have, I think this year we have, if I remember correctly, 2 faculty, I think 1 or 2 undergrads, and then the rest graduate students. So it's the challenge I would stress for undergrads is if you're thinking of applying and you don't have a paper abstract to present, you can present I assume this is okay with with Vita, Peter, and Mitch, but say if it's not, you can present the idea of something you'd like to work on or something, an idea that you have rather than a polished paper ready for presentation. For graduate students and faculty, the expectation is that you've got a project more fully in the works. But so that's, I think, part of why, undergraduates may feel a little intimidated, but we actually do want both. The plurality has been graduate students both last year and this year. And that, tends to, that may end up being the mode, but the goal is only a couple of faculty.
Okay, thank you. And the next question is from Callista Lee. So thank you for this. Has there been any undergraduate students who were able to continue their project beyond the course and field school? Also, will these slides be sent out?
So I can answer just in terms of the first question. We're only in our second year as a consortium, and the SEAC program is in the summer. So I can only speak to the undergrads from last year. And if I remember correctly, at least one went on to do a master's that's related. And so it's just too soon to know how many are, find ways to continue their project. We do have field research grants that are available for students and faculty both. So if, for instance, somebody participated as an undergraduate in the field school, it's usually someone who's, we would expect someone who's upper division undergraduate, so they may not be continuing on very long. But let's say that person then went on to do a master's at SUNY or CUNY and wanted to continue in the same vein, or a PhD, they could certainly then apply for a field research grant for us to be able to support their ongoing research. Those are competitive grants, so we can't guarantee it, but it's just that's also a possibility. And we've had certainly PhD students who have continued onwards with their project. And yes, I think, Vita, that this will be posted online to make sure on the website to make sure others can hear it.
Yeah, thank you. Yes, so we will post the slides. Yeah.
Also, for undergraduates, this is a great way for you to get a letter related to Southeast Asia if you do want to continue on, because you'll be working closely with faculty and others. So definitely this could be think of this as a springboard for graduate studies.
Yeah, and I also just like from the technical side of things here for participants. So here, if you would like to speak, I can just raise your hand here in this forum, and then I will unmute you so you can actually ask questions if it's longer questions that you would prefer speaking instead of typing.
Should we end the slideshow? I don't know if we can
So
and see the participants. I mean, I know we can kind of see them, but yeah.
Sharing.
Thank you.
So can you see the participants now? Okay. Right. So are there any more questions? Oh, so there's one more question here. Does an abstract requirement have to be about climate change or sustainability?
I would just suggest that your projects, should relate to the theme for the year.
Mm-hmm.
So I would say, climate change and sustainability are, they can be very narrowly defined, technically defined, right? In terms of thinking about them as a problem or as an analytic project. I think we are also open to, say, projects that deal in the colonial era, say, or early 20th century, where climate change is not understood as climate change per se, right? People don't use that term. But if you're doing an environmental project, right, or thinking about agriculture and sort of, again, not calling it, the word sustainability is not going to be used in at the time. Here I'm probably thinking like a historian, right? And very specifically the language used at the time. But if it's an environmental project, then that would be something that I think would be quite strong, or a project about transportation, or if you're doing something on, road building, or there's a number of ways. So if you're unsure, I think the best thing to do would be to just drop one of us an email and say, this is something I'm thinking about. Is this something that would be acceptable? And I think the three of us can talk that over before you go through the whole process of applying, per se. So.
Yeah, that's great. And then there's another questions here for undergrads. If we have never done relevant research before, would that weaken our application?
Meredith, do you want to talk about, do you know the specifics of previous?
So, no, I mean, so long as you can explain why this is relevant for you, why you're a good candidate for the program, how it will benefit you. So much of the very purpose of this consortium is to expand access to the ability to do research on, or to teach on, or to engage with Southeast Asia. So if you haven't done, we don't expect undergraduates to have done field research, for instance. If you have, fantastic, but that is not at all the expectation. Even things like using GIS, as a way, as a research method, for instance, some undergraduates may have been exposed, but that's not really the norm. Well, maybe in geography departments, but outside geography departments, not the norm, right? And so, no, the goal then will be, and again, you can reach out to one of the instructors if you want, sort of more guidance on, do you fit or not? But let's say you're thinking of a graduate degree in Southeast Asia, or you're thinking of working for an organization that works in Southeast Asia, for which this would be really good training for you, or this would be good exposure, or you have a family history related to Southeast Asia and you have these, intellectual interests that are related to the consortium, and you see this as a way to put these pieces of yourself together. That can be a good fit. It doesn't mean you automatically get accepted. It depends on the applications and how many we can accept and so forth. But we don't have the same expectations for prior research experience, or for having a paper drafted that you could present at a workshop for undergraduates as for graduate students or faculty. We do consider, and have so far considered, the level at which you start in terms of what our expectations would be.
And we are looking for a good cohort, right? Folks who would work
Mhm.
together well. So I think that's going to be one of the important criteria in our selection.
Yeah, and that's why we're hoping that in that the fall, this coming fall, that the 1 credit course that we're offering, and letting you be exposed to how encompassing the theme that we have for this year is. So again, by checking with us would be great, so we can guide you further. But when you're thinking about sustainability, as you already probably heard about this. And throughout these sessions, that sustainability spans across different dimensions. So under each one, if we're looking at this, the social dimension or economic dimension or environmental dimensions, there are different measures and challenges, policies, strategies, and practices that happening under each of those dimensions. So regardless of your disciplines in your work area, if there is an interest in things that you do, and as Peter perfectly alluded to, this, geography research is eclectic, feel, and I am saying this in my courses all the time to my students. It's just everything that you do is related to geography. So we are excited to see what kinds of applications coming in. We strongly encourage you to reach out if you have specific questions. But it's really we want to have a very diverse cohort as well, different disciplines, and that's the very exciting and fun part of this. And Peter, if you anything else you would like to add here?
Well, I think you said most of it, but I would just emphasize that part of what we'd like to teach is how to do research, particularly to undergraduates. So we don't have very large expectations of undergraduates that would come in and have published papers or anything like that. That we're trying, it's part of a college experience to learn how to do that. And we will be learning how to do that in a specific environment, and that is in Southeast Asia, looking at a specific focus, sustainability, climate change, et cetera, et cetera. So we welcome you.
Great. Thank you. There are any
There's one more
additional
question, I think.
There's another
questions?
question. Yeah. Good question.
Do you see the questions?
So I can read it. This field school is exciting. Would there be a chance for participants to be connected to local scholars or activist groups to the participants' specific fields of interest, e.g. textile industry, waste, etc.? I would say yes, right? I mean,
Yes.
one of the strengths, I think, is that we all have deep ties to the region, and if we don't know particular people, we know who might know particular people. So we can draw on the expertise. And I think textile industry is a great example, because that you might not think, oh, is this sustainability? Is this climate change? Yes, absolutely, right. I mean, this is
Yeah.
textile industry is such a
And I'm gonna,
rich
yeah.
area to study. Yeah, go ahead.
Thank you. So I'm going to add to that. So that was actually part of the area of my research and of my involvement over the since 2020. So we did visit, and it was part of a different projects, but textile industry. So some of the local governments, sectors, workers, and so do have connections, and definitely would be happy to talk about that and give you some information about the publication related to that area. And so I personally also last summer visited some of these factories and then talked to them about their whole operations and waste. And so the paper that just came out from Cambridge that I co-authored related to that global waste reduction network. So I would be happy to provide further information if there's an interest in that. But yeah. So I guess there are any more questions, anything else that all of you would like to add? Meredith, Mitch, Peter? Because
So
I don't see.
this recording and slideshow will be posted on the SEAC website. We have you just can Google SUNY CUNY SEAC and the website will appear. So
Okay.
And,
thank you all.
if you're listening, if you've listened this far, also please do think about joining some of our other activities. There's a simulcast film screening coming up with screenings at New Paltz and Buffalo State, but also online and I think there'll be one at NYU as well for those in the city. It's a national initiative under the Graduate Education and Training and Southeast Asia Network, or GETSI. Ezra, who just asked a question recently, is our consortium's representative to the Graduate Student Council that helps to plan for that. That film screening is March 31st, but there are other events as well that we have or that GETSI has, including short courses and other things. So please get involved.
There's a talk, right, by Ben Toseg on music in the music scene in Thailand, I believe. And
yeah.
That's
A Black
happening.
American jazz musician in Bangkok in the 1960s. It's an upcoming book that's coming out imminently. And so, yeah, he'll be speaking tomorrow on that. So if you go on the website, you can see how to register for that. And also then you can get on our mailing list if you're not already. But if you're here, you probably are on our mailing list.
So again, thank you. Thanks everyone for joining us. So please check out the website. Feel free to reach out to any one of us. And special thanks to Meredith for filling in and providing the information. So we'll make this available to all of you. And please do keep track of the website events that's going on and stay on top of things and look forward to we look forward to receiving the applications and interest and join us for the fall one credit course and then hopefully for the field school and workshop. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Should we? I think everyone knows.